Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Hello, everybody. I'm doing something a little bit different this week. I am recording this ahead of time, which is actually really, really unlike me. I am usually the type of person that leaves everything to the last minute. I usually tend to tell myself that I work best under pressure. Maybe I do. I don't know. We'll find out after today. But the reason why I'm recording this ahead of time is because when this goes live, I will actually be in London with my family. So we're actually going to see Coldplay on Tuesday night. So last night, if you're listening to this on Wednesday. And it's going to be my kids' first ever concert. And Craig and I have seen Coldplay before and we absolutely love them. And it was literally like one of the best nights of our lives. So to be able to take our kids to share that experience with them and to create those memories with them, that is what I live for. So that's where I am at the moment. Not at this moment in time as I'm recording. I am currently sat at my desk, absolutely sweltering because we're having another heat wave. So I've just made myself an iced coffee and I'm sat in my bikini, absolutely boiling. So yeah, there we go. So what I want to talk about this week is a little breakthrough I've just had. So obviously, before I tell you the breakthrough that I've had, I need to tell you the problem. So my problem is that, and I didn't actually realise how big a problem this was for me, probably until I've had the breakthrough. But I constantly feel guilty that my kids spend so much time on their video games. Which, by the way, is actually what they want to be doing. It's what they choose to do. If I give them the choice, it's what they choose to do. And what got me thinking about this is yesterday, when I had a friend come round, she said to me, "Where are the boys?" And I said, "Up in their bedrooms, playing on their computer games." And we had a little conversation about it. And she pointed out to me, "Hello, Michelle, this is you that said this to me. If you're listening, I'm sure you are." She said to me, "Well, that's what we wanted to do when we were that age. Or, be up in our bedrooms, listen to our music." Obviously, we didn't really have that many video games when we were younger. But, when you're that age, that is what you want to do, isn't it? And then my dad came round in the evening and they were upstairs again, and he asked where they were, and I said, and yeah, I can feel myself making excuses all the time. I was just about to do it then as well. Obviously they come down during the day and they have their lunch and they do things that I ask them to do, and I just feel that I'm being judged. And I think this is going to resonate with a lot of people, with a lot of mums who, whether they work from home like me, or whether they go to work, or whether they work or not, we all have busy lives. And even if you don't have children, then I'm sure we all have areas where we feel judged and you feel like you have to explain yourself all the time. So when Michelle said that to me, well, that's what kids want to be doing these days, isn't it? That kind of released the pressure from me. And so that was that. And then this morning, I was listening to a piece of meditation music on YouTube. And it was, I'm going to go off on one a little bit here, but bear with me. Do you remember I was talking about vibrations the other day and different frequencies, and obviously we know that music vibrates at different frequencies, and the meditation music vibrates at a particular frequency that unblocks negative emotions and negative blocks. So I was listening to that this morning as I was getting ready, and it suddenly dawned on me. I work from home. Like, I am working, whether I'm going to work or working from home, I work. I'm a working mum. However many hours I work, it's okay that I'm busy. It's okay that my kids have to occupy themselves. It's actually a good thing that my kids have to occupy themselves. But it's okay. Like, my parents worked when I was younger. I had to occupy myself in the school holidays. I probably went out more than my kids do, but, things were different then. So I can't believe it's taken me this long to sort of, I don't know, allow myself to think it's okay that they're on their video games, on their PCs, on the PlayStation, what feels like all the time. And I can't actually believe that it's taken me this long to realise what a problem it is for me, especially when, in my previous podcast episode, when I've been talking about releasing blockages and realising what blocks you, I cannot believe that it's taken me this long to realise what a big problem this is for me. So when I had this big realisation, like, hello, I'm a working mum, that's okay, I felt such a weight lifted off. And how can you have such a weight lifted off when you don't even realise there's a problem? Like, that's the strange thing. So then when I realised it was a problem for me, I spent some time this morning and sat down, and I, went through the questions that I ask myself when I realise that I have a block in place. So I asked myself, who is judging me? And the answer is probably no one. And if anybody is judging me, then that actually might say more about them than it does about me anyway. But I honestly don't, if I'm really, really honest, like, the question that I ask myself, what evidence do you have? Who is judging me? I have no evidence to say that anybody is judging me over this. Nobody has ever actually said to me, Lisa, your kids spend way too much time on those video games. And is it ultimately true that they are spending too much time on their video games? I mean, where's the video game police? Who says what is too much and what isn't? And actually, in reality, when I think about it, they've been off so far for, say, 2.5 weeks. In that time, we've been camping. We've had a couple of days out. We've just been swimming. They've been on tennis camp. Like, they've been part of a tennis club for a few days. Next week, we're going to London, or if you're listening to this, we are in London. And then at the end of this week, we're going on holiday for 2 weeks. And then when we come back, they're going back to school. So actually, in the 6-week holiday, if you think of all the things we have done or are about to do, it's actually quite a lot. And so bloody what if in their spare time they are doing what they want to do? Like, who am I to tell them what they should and shouldn't want to do? And thinking about it, whilst we're on that, I've always known in the back of my head that I have a problem with it, and that I always feel like I have to justify it. And when my eldest son started secondary school, he absolutely excelled in his ICT classes. Like, he was the only person who knew his way around a PC. He was the only kid in his class that was able to program without help from the teacher. He actually helped other kids do it. So actually, especially with, the way technology is going and the era that we're sort of heading into, then if this is what they're drawn to, then brilliant. Who's to say they're not going to absolutely excel in life because of what they've chosen to do in their spare time at home. So the next question I need to ask myself is, why am I worrying about this? And what is the root of my worry? And it probably stems from me starting motherhood as a stay-at-home mum, I guess. So it was only when Alfie was, who's my eldest, it was only when Alfie was probably about 4 or 5 that I set up my business, which is making wedding cakes. Obviously, I didn't start off making wedding cakes. I started off making smaller cakes, and eventually my business has built up to making wedding cakes, which is obviously why I'm so busy over the summer usually. So because I think because I started off their lives being around them so much, and then eventually sort of spending a bit more time away from them, even though I'm not away from them because I work from home, I'm still around them. I think I compare myself now to my old self, which is really, really silly. Now I'm saying the words out loud. It's really silly because, things change. I change. My kids change. They don't need me as much anymore. God, they don't want to be around me as much anymore. And that leads me to think, do I really, truly value my work and myself? Do I value what I do? As I said to you in a previous episode, I have a block around earning money. Is this all linked? This is all coming to me right now. So do bear with me. This is why journaling is so important, by the way, because, this is my form of journaling, is speaking out loud. And it's only when you really allow yourself to dig deep, not push your thoughts aside, that all these little realizations come to you. So do I value myself? Do I value my work? I mean, I do, in the fact that I absolutely love being part of people's weddings, and therefore I love to produce the best wedding cakes I can. But do I allow myself to be as successful as I could be? And the answer is probably no. And why is that? I mean, who knows? Obviously, this is something that's coming out right now. Aren't you lucky hearing all these realizations, these epiphanies that are coming to me today? But does it align with my values? So, and what I mean by that is not the job that I do. Does allowing myself to work all through the summer and to work on the weekends, does it align with my values? And does it make me happy? And I absolutely know the answer to that. And as much as I love making wedding cakes and I love being involved in people's weddings, I bloody love weddings, it doesn't align with me anymore. How much has it ever aligned with me, I guess? When you look at it that way, I'm not sure. But being around my kids and being around my family is what aligns with me. And that is what truly makes me happy. That is what makes me buzz. That is what pushes me forward. So it's for that reason that I have recently started to inform people that I am no longer in the wedding cake industry. I have stopped taking orders on because, I feel like this is my passion now. My passion is being positive and inspiring other people to be positive and creating the best life we can for ourselves. That's not just me, but I want to encourage other people to create the best lives for themselves as well. And in order for me to do that, I have to do all this self-development work that I'm doing. For you to create the best life that you can, you have to do the self-development, and you have to make tough decisions. Stopping doing wedding cakes has been something that I've been thinking of doing for a couple of years now, I think, through the coronavirus. Obviously, I didn't have any work on in that time, and I was sort of filling my time with things to do. I couldn't even take the kids anywhere then, obviously, because we were in lockdown. So I was volunteering. I started doing a lot of self-development work. I started creating a better routine for myself. I started to look at what truly makes me happy. And then last year, when all the weddings started happening again, all the ones that were postponed from the year before, most of them went to last year. I have got a few more left to do this year, but most of them were last year. And therefore, my summer last year was unbelievably busy. And I'm talking like I had about 10 days free to do things with the kids. And obviously in that time, Craig and I both had the virus, and so did Alfie. So it turned out we couldn't do anything anyway. So, but yeah, I think that's what really started making me question if this was the life for me, working all summer, all weekends. And I think that's when you start to question things and it doesn't seem like things are aligning with your values, then that's when you need to do some inner work. And that is what I've done. And it's taken me, a long, long time. Like, obviously I started having those feelings last summer, and then it was, funnily enough, it was when I broke my hand that it forced me to into making a decision quicker than I would have if I hadn't have broke my hand. So yeah, if something doesn't align with your values, then that is when you need to do something about it. So, wow, that was interesting. Sorry I went off on one then. But it kind of all links back together. And if we go back to my first question, who is judging me? I think we can probably all say the person that's judging me is me. It doesn't align with me. So that's who's judging me. And if you're judging yourself, then you need to question why. So what have I learnt from this realisation? And I feel like this has been part of my whole self-development journey anyway. But what is my priority in life? Or what are my priorities in life? What are my passions in life? And it's okay for those passions to change every now and again. So obviously my priorities in life are Craig and the boys and my house, and which, as you know, I love very, very much, and my dogs and my family who I'm so close with. They're my priority. And what am I passionate about? So, as I've said, I am passionate about being positive and inspiring others to be positive. So, and that all goes hand in hand with working out what your priorities are, because once you work out what your priorities are, you'll work out what your passion is. Make sense? And like I said, it's okay for these passions to change. At one time, making wedding cakes was my passion. And, you know, it is what I live for. And I would happily work all the hours. But, things have happened since then, and I now realise that I'm not aligned with that anymore. And the most important thing is that you realise when you're not aligned with something anymore before it starts making you unhappy. So when you have a quiet moment, so if you're driving in the car, this might be a good time to do this. If you're doing the housework, this might be a good time to do this. Just stop and have a think of an area where you feel judged. So maybe, like me, it's your parenting, something about your parenting, or maybe it's that you've decided not to have children. Do you feel that people judge you on that? Is there a decision you've made that you feel judged upon? So, I don't know, for example, whether or not you decided to go to university, maybe your job that you do, or things that you do in your spare time. Is it something that you, about your lifestyle, or the things that you eat, or the clothes that you wear? Where do you feel judged? And I want you to keep that thing in mind. And if you can't think of anything off the top of your head from those things that I've listed, then maybe have a think and if there's any areas where you constantly feel like you have to explain yourself. Okay, so when you've thought of something, I want you to ask yourself, who is judging you? Who is judging you? And what evidence do you have that anybody is judging you? Has anybody confronted you about this? Has anybody told you that they don't agree with the way that you live your life? And if they haven't, then like me, maybe it's yourself that's judging you. So when you go through these questions, this might come up for you. So if you do have evidence that somebody is judging you, does that change anything for you? Does it make you want to change the way you do things? I'm guessing the answer is probably no, otherwise you wouldn't still be doing the thing. But then I want you to ask yourself, like I asked myself, why are you worrying about it? Why are you worrying that people are judging you? Does it align with your values? And ultimately, does it make you happy? And if you're able to answer those questions, then you might get to the root cause of why it's a problem for you if people are judging you. And then what have you learnt from all these questions? What have you learnt from this realization? So for me, obviously I'd already decided that what I do for a living doesn't align with my values anymore. It doesn't make sense to me that I'm not spending time with my kids. However, the realization that I had today, which is that I am a working mum, so it's okay for my kids to occupy themselves. That is the realization for me. Like whatever this leads me on to doing, it's okay that it takes up my time. And as long as I remain passionate about it, it's going to align with my values. And the moment it doesn't align with your values anymore, that's when you change. So I'm going to leave it there. It's been quite a day of breakthroughs and epiphanies. I thought that was the end of it for me when I had my breakthrough this morning. But you've had a real-time epiphany experience with me today. So it just goes to show how powerful, speaking out loud and journaling is. So, when you're listening to this episode, I really do hope that something resonates with you here and, maybe talk to me, as you're listening to me in the car or wherever you are when you're listening to this. Talk to me as I'm asking you the questions, as I'm asking you to think, what you feel judged by. And speaking out loud really does help bring things to light. So yeah, I'd love to know what, if anything, this has brought up for you, or if you can resonate with how I'm feeling, or if you've had some kind of major breakthrough by listening to what I've been saying and the questions I've prompted you to think about. So I look forward to hearing any of your thoughts. And yeah, I hope you all have a great week. Obviously, as I said, I'm in London at the moment. And then I'm off to Turkey on Sunday. So I've got a super busy week. I've also got a wedding in between that as well. So wish me luck. I've been very well organised. So hopefully everything will be okay. And I'll speak to you soon. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.